Hi, welcome to this video by Eutrema. Today we're going to talk about the pesticides that can be used in organic farming, but we think should be considered also by conventional farmers. So there are about 30 pesticides that can be used in organic farming. They're often a range of natural extracts or very biodegradable, low toxicity products, simple chemicals, but some of them are highly effective and could have potential in conventional farming, especially as pesticides have been withdrawn. So we've chosen the top 4 most effective products that we think you should consider on UK farming. So the first organic biopesticide we're going to look at is Kitzan. Kitzan is my particular favourite because it's so useful. It can be used on a wide range of crops against a range of fungi and bacterial pathogens. It's also highly soluble, so you don't have any issues with tank mixing. A lot of the organic pesticides, especially the fungicides, need to be continually agitated because they're not soluble. Now, Kitzan is a thick liquid. It almost looks like honey when you get it. It has a mild odour, which is good for a biopesticide. It's not like a lot of biological products you'll find are just dirty brown liquids. Kitzan is a nice viscous liquid, clear. The Eutrema product is, as we say, is viscous and clear. There are products on the market that are like water consistency. By its very nature, Kitzan must be viscous and clear. So be wary of anything products that aren't like that. We particularly promote it for use against what we call biotrophic fungi, so things like rusts and mildews, powdery mildew, not downy mildew. Downy mildew is a necrotic pathogen which just goes in there and kills the plant. But biotrophic fungi have a special mechanism and they block chitin or chitosan receptors in the cell wall. And that's how they gain access to the plant. It's almost like they've turned on stealth mode. Now, a Kitzan solution, when you spray this onto the plant, basically overcomes that stealth mode and just sprays Kitzan everywhere. The plant thinks it's under attack by a pest or a pathogen and turns on its defences. So it'll make the cell wall stronger, it'll produce antifungal, anti-insecticidal chemicals inside its cells, and that means that you can fight off that disease, especially if it's used preventatively. It can be used from seed all the way up to harvest, and you think about how many pesticides in conventional farming you can say that for. Virtually none. It's got no residue limits that need to be determined. It's fully legal in the UK and in the EU, so there's no issues of it being like a grey market product like you see for some biopesticides that are sort of sold as biostimulants. So we definitely recommend you look further details into Kitzan as a biopesticide. The second product we're going to look at as a biopesticide is Azeradictin, which is quite a mouthful, but it is a very good and effective product, especially against thrips. But it will also work against any other cell-eating or sap-sucking insect. But thrips are particularly good. We know thrips transmit a lot of viruses and pests, especially of flowers. Think about the western flower thrip. The onion thrip in winter is a particularly persistent problem on allium crops. So Azeradictin, it's an extract of the neem plant, or the neem tree that grows in the Indian subcontinent. It's in the mahogany family. It's been used for centuries for pest and disease control, both in agriculture and in household use. So it's got a history of safe use. It's biodegradable. It's got very low mammalian toxicity from lab studies, and it's highly effective. So this means that it can be used this is the reasons why it can be used in organic farming, and because it's got primarily an anti-feedant mode of action rather than a biocidal activity. The chemicals aren't directly biocidal. It will break down the exoskeleton of the insect, so it will have an impact straight away, but then when you've sprayed that crop, you'll get days or even weeks of activity on that leaf, as long as it doesn't get washed off, where it will prevent the insects from feeding. So we produce the product as an emulsion, a sprayable emulsion concentrate, as you can see here, and it's a really good product. It does have a mild odour of garlic, but that's probably a good thing, that you've got really good high quality Azeradictin in that case. So yeah, definitely something I think all conventional farmers should look at. This next product is Eutrema insecticidal soap. Now, there are a number of products on the market that contain soaps or fatty acid based surfactants, and they can be used in organic farming and also conventional farming. Now, the main problem with insecticidal soaps and the products that are on the market is they're based on cheap sodium based surfactants, and as you may know from studying plant nutrition, sodium is highly toxic to plants. It's a micronutrient that's required in such low volumes, such low concentrations that you get more than enough in the water that the plants are receiving or in the soil. So sodium-based crops, you can apply them, they'll kill the insects, but if the dose rate is high enough to kill the insect, then it's probably going to cause phytotoxicity. So you'll get scorch and reduction in growth. So we use a unique sodium-free product that's not on the market anywhere else in the UK, and that contains plant macronutrients rather than sodium. So in essence, it's a soap. It breaks down the skin, the exoskeleton of the insect, and then having a physical mode of action, and that's why it's allowed in organic and conventional farming. It's not a biocide, it's not directly killing it through a biochemistry. As with any soap, it will soap up, it'll foam up, so you need to remember that when you're tank mixing it, but it's a really good product, especially when used in combination with the Azeradictin that we also sell. So if you applied once with the Azeradictin to control things like thrips or sap-sucking insects, and then followed up with insecticidal soap, you're getting double mode of action. One's an anti-feeder, one's attacking the exoskeleton, and the published reports out there of using that combination have shown really good effects. So definitely something both conventional and organic farmers should look at. So this bright red liquid is lime sulfur, and lime sulfur can be used in organic farming, which is a bit surprising because it's a fairly hazardous product. It gives off hydrogen sulfide gas, which is rotten eggs. It's not just an unpleasant smell, it's a toxic smell. So you need to use personal protective equipment, PPE, when applying it. It's also hazardous to get on your skin, so you need to be using the appropriate gloves and coveralls when applying it. Now, I don't want to put you off too much because once it's on the crop in a dilute form, it breaks down into calcium and sulfur that is non-hazardous. So it's calcium polysulfide that quickly breaks down, has a fungicidal, bactericidal, insecticidal effect both on the crop in a dilute form and in the soil in a more concentrated form, and then there's no residual action. So contrast that to copper-based fungicides that many organic farmers use, but also conventional farmers for control of very persistent pathogens. Copper is residual, it has long-term effects, it's very toxic to humans. I don't like copper. I would rather use a synthetic pesticide than copper, but even better than that is lime sulfur, because it's an instant, almost fumigant type product, and quickly breaks down into plant macronutrients. Things like sulfur and calcium are quite difficult to get into a plant anyway, and if you think about sulfur, when you're applying sulfur as like granular sulfur, which is another pesticide in organic farming, that's going to drag the pH of the plant and the soil into the acidic form, because it forms sulfuric acid as it breaks down and becomes soluble. In farming in the UK, we always want to be raising that pH in 95% of all situations, so adding lime sulfur is helping you get into that direction. It'll also help flocculate the soil because of the calcium in the product. So it's definitely something we think all farmers should be looking at. As long as you're using the correct PPE, it's a great product to use. At Eutrema, we supply it to a wide range of different applications, and so definitely something to consider in your integrated pest management system.